everyone, Aaron here from Rudy Visuals. In today's video, we're talking about the legendary Canon 50mm f1.8 EF lens. And even now in 2022, it's still a regular top seller, despite being released in 2015 for an aging DSLR platform. In fact, you can see from this chart that there are quite a few 50mm f1.8 lenses for various platforms. These lenses are still really popular, yet on Amazon USA, at least, the venerable 50mm Canon f1.8 still holds the #1 bestseller crown. And there are a number of reasons for that, which we'll get into in this video, as one of the questions I constantly get asked is whether you should still buy this particular lens in 2022. But before we answer, let me introduce you to the sponsor of today's video, Wondershare Filmora 10. Filmora 10 is a simple yet powerful and professional video editor compatible with both Windows and Mac OS, welcoming to users with all levels of experience in video editing. Filmora 10's user interface is intuitive and eases you into all aspects of video editing by making the implementation of high-end transitions, titles, effects, etc. easily accessible. This allows you to really focus on your creativity without being held back by the steep learning curve that other editing softwares like Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro requires. With its rich variety of features such as motion tracking, silence detection, and film stock integration, which offers a library of over more than 20,000 effects, Filmora 10 won't disappoint the pros either. Plus, Wondershare is constantly adding new features to Filmora 10 to keep your creativity flowing. One of the newest add-on features includes AI Portrait, which you can use to instantly separate your subject from the background without the need of using green screens and chroma key, which can be very complicated. In addition, Filmora 10 is free to try, so you can explore its features and decide whether it's the video editing software for you. You can use the link in the description to see for yourself just how awesome Filmora 10 is. And the short answer to this question is yes, this is still a great lens for all levels and for most people and use cases. It's still a lens that I recommend all the time to my friends and family trying to get into photography or even videography. It makes for a great first lens, a great learning lens. Yes, mirrorless cameras are pretty much the future now. And you know, the EF and EFS mount cameras are kind of on their way out, at least in the kind of prosumer space. But as the Amazon bestsellers clearly shows us that, you know, beginners are still buying DSLRs, which is probably why this lens is still so massively popular. Anyways, without further ado, here are 10 reasons why I still think you should buy a Canon 50mm f1.8 even in 2022. Let's kick this off with price. So this is simply put a super cheap lens, one you can get around for about £129 brand new here in the UK, and I've seen these regularly sell used for as low as £70 to £80 on eBay, for example, which when you're starting out, it's all about bang for your buck. Usually you do get what you pay for, but in this instance, the 50mm f1.8 lens does offer fantastic value, which is probably why it still sells like hotcakes to this day. Whether you're a high school student saving your pocket money, or you're like an investment banker looking to pick up a weekend hobby, the Canon 50mm f1.8 is a very easily accessible and affordable lens. Number 2, of course, is the maximum aperture of f1.8. This allows the lens to open up a lot more than a standard kit lens, for example, letting in more light and allows you to separate your subject from the background, resulting in that lovely shallow depth of field look and all of that lovely bokeh. This is great for portraits as well as that nice cinematic look compared to most kit lenses, which usually have a maximum aperture of f3.5, f5.6, where you really kind of struggle to get that blurry background look. Whereas a nifty 50 opens up a lot of creative possibilities with depth of field compared to your standard kit lenses, and gives you the ability to shoot professional looking photos with relative ease. Another benefit of the f1.8 aperture is, of course, the low light performance that comes with allowing more light into your sensor, into your camera. Again, most kit lenses are terrible in low light, but the Canon 50mm f1.8 wide open is still very usable in low light conditions, meaning you can shoot for longer and get creative even after dark. If you pair it with a full frame camera, you'll see even better performance in low light conditions. My fourth reason is the versatility of the 50mm focal length. So it's a common saying that in photography, that 50mm is kind of close to what the human eye sees. While there is some debate to this, it is true that 50mm, at least on a full frame camera, offers you a medium focal length that makes it very flexible and allows you to shoot a number of different styles of photography. Everything from portraits, street, travel, lifestyle, architecture, landscapes. A 50mm is usually always useful in most scenarios and allows for very creative and unique compositions. Number 5 is simply how simple it is to use. It's just a prime lens, so there's no faffing about with kind of like zooming, no variable apertures like on your kit lens. There's literally one focus ring, an AF and MF switch, and that's it really. You can literally just shoot wide open all day, just focus on getting creative and getting, you know, good composition and trying to tell your story. It's a very simple, you know, point and shoot style lens that anyone can start using right away. Which leads me very nicely to reason number 6, which is how it's a great lens to actually learn with. So I really struggled with the kit lens on this 100D because the photos always just looked terrible to me. With the Nifty 50, however, it's relatively easy to get nice looking shots. And that kind of led me to wanting to learn more, to study more about photography and, you know, composition, learning about flash and lighting and looking into other types of lenses and different styles. You know, it's almost like a rite of passage for photographers to learn with a 50mm f1.8 lens, and it kind of acts like a gateway into more like advanced lenses. And because of that wide aperture, you know, the versatility of the focal length, the simplicity, it does make it a very good lens to learn and practice with. Number 7 is the image sharpness, at least compared to most kit lenses. So one thing I hated about the stock Canon kit lens is just how soft the photos looked. Yes, you can take good photos with a kit lens, but they're designed to be cheap and to be like a jack of all trades, and obviously that does create limitations. However, a cheap prime lens like the 50mm might limit your focal length, but it is such a huge step up in image quality and in particular in sharpness. It's a lens that actually makes you realize how much better a dedicated camera can be compared to using your phone. It's not at that same level as kind of like more professional lenses out there, but again, it comes in at a fraction of the price. Now the Nifty 50 does have its fair share of issues when it comes to things like, you know, color fringing, vignetting, but compared to a kit lens, it's a lens that's much easier when it comes to shooting sharp, attractive looking photos. Next up is the size and lightness of the Nifty 50 compared to some common zoom lenses, for example, like a 24 to 105 or a Canon 18 to 135. The 50 is tiny. You can literally carry this around in your pockets, which makes it really good for everyday travel. You know, it's compact, it's not going to take up too much real estate in your bag, and most importantly is very light. Nobody likes carrying heavy gear, and also nobody likes big obtrusive lenses sticking out like a big massive sore thumb. With the Nifty 50 on the other hand, like nobody bats an eyelid. You know, feel a lot more inconspicuous. It's a lot more stealthy when you're carrying a small light lens like this, and if you're just starting out, it's going to make you feel a lot more comfortable and more confident taking your camera around with you and shooting out in public. At number 9 is the ability to shoot really nice looking cinematic video with this lens. Yes, I know it hasn't got, you know, image stabilization. It's not that easy to focus with. There's a ton of lenses out there that are a lot easier to shoot with, but just like with photography, the benefit of that focal length and that f1.8 aperture means that you are able to get that nice subject and background separation, making this a surprisingly good B-roll lens, especially when compared to most of the Canon kit lenses. If you compare this with a gimbal, for example, some lens filters, and you're not shooting any kind of like fast subjects, you can actually get really nice looking footage with a Nifty 50. I found that learning to shoot video with this lens and learning to get around its limitations allowed me to actually shoot even better video once I had access to better and more capable video focused lenses. And my final reason for getting this lens is its compatibility. It works great on a full frame 6D Mark II. We've had it on a full frame 5D Mark IV, even a 1DX Mark II. We've used it with our crop sensor body like a Canon 80D and also this 100D. And with adapters, you can even use this on mirrorless crop bodies like the Canon M50. We got this to use with our Canon 100D many years ago. We kept it when we got our 80D, on our 60 Mark II, and we still use it now with our M50. And I'm sure that versatility is one of the factors behind its popularity. So if you are still watching this, I do hope you found this list helpful and it helped you make a decision. Anyway guys, that's gonna do it for this video. If you've got any questions at all, do feel free to leave them down there in the comment section below. You can also do me a huge favor and hit that like button, subscribe to see more. And as always, you can also follow us on socials down here. And I guess I'll hopefully see you on the next video. Thanks so much. Peace.